Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in my quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all those things that give us joy. I'm joined today by, of course, my two regulars. I got Robert Meyer Burnett.
How's it going?
And, of course, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Good afternoon or evening or wherever you may be, morning, who knows, but welcome.
And, of course, most importantly, you guys. And a big congratulations to all of our friends in Portugal who are currently enjoying, I believe it's a 4-0 lead that Portugal has. So good for you guys. It appears Ronaldo is back. Anyway, guys, this is a show where we talk about all the things going on in the world of movies, the business, the movies themselves, TV and streaming and all that stuff. And we've got a number of things that we need to talk about here today. So we're not going to waste any time. And we're going to start off here talking about this. Well, you know, everybody understands that we've got a little movie called The Odyssey on its way. And as has been kind of a growing trend, when a new movie is coming out, ahead of it, a new novel version or audiobook version of the movie is coming out. And of course, The Odyssey is no exception. So we've got an Odyssey audiobook coming out, but this one's got a little bit of a twist. 8-time Christopher Nolan collaborator, Michael Caine, is apparently doing the voice in the Odyssey audiobook, except for one little difference. It's not actually Michael Caine. Again, the 8-time Christopher Nolan collaborator licensed his voice to an AI company, and it is going to be an AI narrator reading the book in the great Michael Caine's voice. This is what the folks over at The Hollywood Reporter had to say. They said, in the voice of Shang-Chi, so it begins, or Shang-Tsung, I should say. So it begins. A new audiobook version of The Odyssey has been released, voiced by legendary actor Michael Caine, except not really. Caine granted permission for an AI audio company to clone his voice for this project and other upcoming books and articles. You can listen to a rather convincing sample of AI Caine in the Odyssey audiobook trailer below. If you go to the Hollywood Reporter article, they do have a YouTube clip that's kind of like a little trailer for it, and you can hear his voice. According to Deadline, the 93-year-old actor partnered with 11 Labs last year to clone his iconic and distinctive voice. The company's investors include actor Matthew McConaughey. The Odyssey is one of the greatest stories ever told, Caine said in a statement. For nearly 3 millennia, its themes of perseverance, loyalty, temptation, and the enduring call of home have resonated across cultures and generations. All right. So it's a 13-hour audio production of it. But the real story here, of course, isn't just the idea of us getting an Odyssey audiobook. It's using AI. And here's the thing. Michael Caine is not the only voice actor in it. There's other voices as well. But the article goes on to point out that all the voices in this Odyssey audiobook are all AI. So it's Michael Caine reading it, but it's not. It's not Michael Caine. It's a computer voice trained to sound like Michael Caine. I don't know if any of the other voices are meant to mimic other celebrities as well, or if they're just going to be standard voices. So this is interesting. And apparently, Rob, this might be something that interests you. They said,
it does.
As somebody who just recently completed a full audio drama with True Noir, says it took them 6 weeks from start to finish to make this Odyssey book. It took you about 6 weeks, right, to do True Noir?
No, John, it didn't.
About how long did that project take?
We started recording voices on May 27th, and I wrapped recording voices in November. And then I edited the piece, and I wasn't done editing until April of the following year. And then sound design and all that. And I'll tell you, though, Um, one of the things about True Noir that I had to have actors working with other actors because
for the performance.
we had scenes. Yeah, exactly. We had scenes between people sometimes that lasted 10 minutes of two actors talking. There was no way I could ever have used AI to, now it's different than an audiobook. My approach to True Noir was it was like a movie that you just couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had like Katie
That's
Sackhoff,
why I called it an audio drama.
yeah, which is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Which I thank you for. But like when I had Katie Sackhoff acting opposite Michael Rosenbaum, you had to believe that they were there, that they were sitting together. I could never have. And look, I've used AI cloning voice technology before. There is no way I could have done my audio drama without the human quality of actors acting opposite other actors.
Yeah. And you know, I listened to the little clip, or like the little promo for it, right? Using the AI Michael Caine. And I got to tell you, well, two things stood out to me. Number one was just how much the voice exactly sounds like Michael Caine. I mean, it does. It's, if you had told me, guess if this is Michael Caine speaking or if this is somebody doing an impersonation of Michael Caine, I honestly couldn't have told you because it sounds just like Michael Caine. But here's the other thing about this Odyssey audiobook. While it sounded exactly like Michael Caine, it also sounded completely soulless. Like absolutely soulless. It didn't have any it didn't have the Michael Caine personality. It didn't have, now granted, it was only about 30 seconds worth of stuff. And, maybe I would change my mind if I listened to the whole thing. But it just sounded kind of soulless. And I have no problem with them using the voice of Michael Caine because Michael Caine gave them permission. So on that level, I have no issue. I have no qualms with that. If Michael Caine gives them permission, they can do it. But, as in, Jeff Goldblum would ask, you were so concerned about the coulda, you never stopped and asked about the shoulda. Should they do this? And I'm going to be honest with you. I personally, just speaking for myself, I have no interest in listening to an AI generated audiobook where it's pretending to be the voices of people and voices that I know, recognize, and love, and it's not. And I have no interest, no desire. Listen, I'll tell you this. If they had told me they were releasing a new audiobook of the Odyssey prior to it coming out and actual Michael Caine was doing the voice, I'd get it just like that. I would get it just like that. I have no interest in getting this. But the first words, guys, in that article in the Hollywood Reporter right here, where it says, "So it begins." That's the thing here. I think so it begins. I think pretty soon it's going to be all audiobooks, then audio dramas. And then I don't know if it sneaks in. Now, granted, I'm talking about slippery slope, and that's always problematic. But I'm going to say right now, I don't like it. I don't like this. So I don't know, Rob, you've created an audio drama. What do you think about this?
Well, here's the thing. When you're cloning Michael Caine's voice, it is in fact his voice. But the thing is, what you don't get is his mind and his emotion and his soul, as John, you pointed out. Because when you're talking to somebody, even when I'm addressing the audience right now, I'm speaking in a way that is the product of what my brain is processing about being on a show with you and Jonathan right now, knowing I'm live, all of the things that I'm trying to convey. I'm gesticulating with my hand. There's a million things going on in my brain that allows me to deliver what it is I'm saying to you right now. AI cannot do that. As great as AI can be, all it can do is try and emulate those things. But right now with voice cloning technology, all it can do is emulate what it thinks the sentence is about. Like it doesn't know, like maybe a word, John, triggers a memory in my mind that makes me smile. And I smile both but I also smile with my voice. AI could never do that. And that's the human quality that we're a long way from AI ever replacing that. The real question is are we, the audience, going to just accept an AI emulation? Or are we going to demand we hear a real human voice? Because I'll tell you something, as you know from listening to the Project Hail Mary audiobook, there's nothing like listening to an audiobook from a great reader.
Yes,
Who can
exactly. Yeah,
who can
100%.
embody the characters and bring forth emotion. Yeah, you can have an AI program read it back to you, but you're not going to get nearly as invested because you're not going to feel it. It's the intangible quality of the human soul that gets imbued in a performance. And AI cannot duplicate that. And I don't know if it ever will be able to duplicate that until we have AI connected to, say, quantum computers, which can probably make those decisions because it's that fast. But until then, it just doesn't cut the mustard.
Here's something else. Like, I already said, I have no problem with them using Michael Caine's voice because Michael Caine gave permission. But like highlighted here with this comment, Adam Hayes in the live chat said, people complaining this took a human's job when a human gave permission to use their voice is dumb. I think this is a masterclass in missing the point. Like, just because you have Michael Caine's gave his permission to use his voice, it's still taking a job. But to me, I'm not even thinking of it in terms of the economics or of it taking people's jobs. That's another issue altogether. I'm just thinking of it, do I want to hear a fake thing? Like, because you can say, hey, Frosted Flakes is now using, I don't know, Benedict Cumberbatch's shit. They're putting some of Benedict Cumberbatch's actual shit in the Kellogg's Corn Flakes. Well, you shouldn't complain about it if Benedict Cumberbatch gave his permission. I still don't want to eat Benedict Cumberbatch shit. I would love to go out and have dinner with Benedict and sit down and talk to him about movies, but I don't want to eat his shit. Like, and that's the thing here. It's not about whether or not Michael Caine gave his permission. I don't want to hear a fake voice. It's not Michael Caine. It's a computer doing the performance in a voice that sounds like and been trained to sound like Michael Caine, but it's not Michael Caine. So no, I do not want to eat Frosted Flakes with specks of, Benedict feces in it. Put that on the box? Yeah.
What if Benedict passes away at some point? Won't you miss him and just think, well, these feces are my one connection to him?
They remind me of, I can practically taste Benedict.
Well, we have that movie now that's being made with Val Kilmer at the behest, his family.
But it's not Val Kilmer.
Well, yes, it's not Val Kilmer.
And of Val Kilmer.
I think one of the things that, look, the AI question is going to be determined by if humanity rejects this or not. And at the end of the day, I think one of the things that makes us human is our finite lives. And the fact that we can still watch old movies, I can still watch Casablanca and see Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart in a movie that goes back to 1941. It's a remembrance of days past. You can't recreate that. And if I watched an AI recreation of Humphrey Bogart now, I don't think that my mind would accept it. I don't think that my subconscious would accept it, knowing in the back of my mind that what I'm watching isn't real. And then I'm expected to be like Val Kilmer, the AI Val Kilmer is going to interact with real people. The question is will our minds accept it? Are the children born today going to accept it? Will they not mind if AI gives them a movie starring Marilyn Monroe, James Dean, Russell Crowe, and Val Kilmer and Timothy Chalamet?
Yeah, it's to me, it's beyond just that, because you mentioned the Humphrey Bogart thing. Do we, like, if we miss Humphrey Bogart, we want something else? Let me give this last analogy, then we'll move on to our next topic, which is the greatest professional athlete of all time is Wayne Gretzky. It just is. ESPN did a statistical breakdown. It doesn't matter which other athlete in which other sport. Nobody was as miles ahead of everybody else in their sport as Wayne Gretzky was in hockey. So I would love to see Wayne Gretzky still play hockey. But if I cut out a little picture of Wayne Gretzky's face and then hold it up to my TV and put it over the head of another hockey player, that's not watching Wayne Gretzky still play hockey. That's a facsimile.
It is entertaining, though.
It is. It's fun. It's awfully fun, but it's not actually watching Wayne Gretzky. It's a facsimile. And I don't miss watching a facsimile of Wayne Gretzky. I want to see Wayne Gretzky play. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It has begun. The new Odyssey book that's coming out ahead of Christopher Nolan's film has got Michael Caine in it, except it's not Michael Caine. It's a computer voice made to sound like Michael Caine. So, I mean, I don't know. We are at the precipice of a brand new era that I still haven't really figured out in my own tiny brain how I really feel about it overall. I'm just saying my first kind of reaction is to recoil, but I don't know. Maybe you guys think differently about it. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, we've got Supergirl coming out. I'm going to go see it tomorrow night. And I'm very excited about the film. Again, I'm keeping my expectations a little bit in check because I was not thrilled with the CinemaCon presentation we got, but I'm going to go see it. Hopefully I love it. We'll find out. But there's another DC project on the way called Clayface. That has kind of just been in the also coming category until we saw the presentation for it at CinemaCon, which blew us away. We absolutely loved it. Then they put out the trailer publicly. Everybody's like, whoa, this is not what we were expecting, right? A true body horror, whatever thing. Well, some words started going around the other day that a Clayface test screenings had been happening. And you guys know what I tell you, never take those at face value. Never take these reports of test screenings unless it's coming from the studio, the director, or one of the actors. Doesn't mean they're all fake, just most of them are. And just to be careful, don't pay much attention to them. Well, I had it confirmed to me by two different people that these test screenings did actually happen. Again, you shouldn't even take my word for it because I wasn't there. Just take it with a grain of salt. All right. And so there have been some reactions going around to the supposed test screening that happened with a couple of really interesting comments being made. A couple of them saying that the movie's incredible. As a matter of fact, the folks over at Geek Tyrant wrote, Clayface test screening reactions reveal an absolutely gnarly body horror scene, which one person describes, I believe it was Daniel Richtman, describes a scene where our protagonist is in an airplane bathroom while it's mid-flight, and he has to take razors to cut his eyelids open because of yeah, which I know is going to make me feel so queasy. It actually goes on to say this. According to insider Daniel Richtman, Clayface is insane and includes a sequence where Matt Hagen is forced into a horrifying situation aboard an airplane. Richtman claims the film features Matt having to cut his eyelids open with a pair of scissors. I heard if it was with a razor, but whatever, on a plane going through turbulence. That to me is going to like completely freak me out. Other reports coming out of the test screenings are saying it is the most gory comic book film ever made. That it's completely gory. It's a very, very R-rated, and a couple of other little tidbits to go along with it. It's very, very R-rated. There is nudity in the film. There is no Batman, which we anticipated there wasn't going to be any Batman in it. That's perfectly fine. But no Batman, very hard R, goriest comic book film ever. Now, I spoke to somebody who basically said this to me, said, overall, they thought it was very good. They were convinced it's not the final cut of the film. And they said, overall, it's very good. But he had two main issues with it. He said there is definitely pacing problems that kind of drags the film at times, but he thinks that can be fixed in the edit room. He thinks that can be fixed, but that was one of the problems. The other critique that the person I spoke to had with it was there are definite moments of humor in it, and some of it works quite well. But he said, the movie's not, this is what he said to me. He said, the movie's not as funny as it thinks it is. So I didn't ask for clarification on that. Just said the movie has more humor than you think. Some of it works. but the movie's not as funny as it thinks it is. But again, this is still a person who overall said they quite enjoyed it. And they had a good time with it. So that's good. I mean, that's good overall. And then some people saying it's incredible. Some people saying it's the most gory thing ever. It's going to be R-rated. Anyway, Rob, you and I were there at CinemaCon when they played that Clayface presentation.
One of the big surprises.
Oh my, that and Whalefall, man.
Yeah,
Whalefall and Clayface. Like, were like the big surprises of like, oh my God, this looks way better than I thought it would. Now, I'm still very curious how they're going to fit this into the fabric of the overall DC universe. But this is positive. I'm going to say this is promising. Hearing all this stuff right now is promising. Again, I wouldn't invest too much into it right now. I wouldn't read too much into it right now. I take it all with a grain of salt. All right. Just to be clear, but it's promising at any rate. Anyway, Rob, you were there. You saw the presentation with me. You're reading these reports coming out of this alleged, test screenings they had. What's standing out to you, and what are you thinking we're going to get out of this movie?
Well, John, the Clayface concept was not the first thing I would have thought that the DC universe would have leaned into as their third motion picture. The character, as designed and has appeared in animation and the comics, does not scream verisimilitude. This is the way I like to put things. And I think turning the idea of a body becoming malleable like clay, when you really look at what that means, is absolutely horrific. And to bring that home and make it happen to a real person, like not an animated walking pile of clay or whatever it is, to have it happen to a real person is a genius idea, because we all look at that going, what if that happened to me? The audience is put into a position of, what if that were me? So it's a brilliant way to engage the audience, first of all. But second of all, then you have the human story. I mean, I think back to one of the greatest body horror movies of all time, which is David Cronenberg's The Fly from 1986. I mean, to see that movie, it's horrific to see what happens to poor Jeff Goldblum in that film. And I think every audience member was stunned into silence watching it. And I think Clayface is playing along those same lines. But if you then extrapolate that he's going to become a Batman villain, I'm like, I think I'd become a villain too. I would hate the world, and I would want my revenge on everybody. And I think it's a great way to go with that character, the same way that, say, Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker, which was different than we might have expected, and nobody thought at first that Heath Ledger was going to cut it as the Joker, were then completely blown away by what he brought to that character. A different approach, yet indelible. And I think what they're doing with Clayface is probably going to be the same thing.
And the other thing that we got to throw out there, not that it's important to the quality of the movie, but this is apparently a very low budget film.
Yeah.
Like they did not break the bank on this movie. So it's going to be really interesting. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? There have been some whispers going around that you should absolutely take with giant nuggets of salt about some reactions coming out of test screenings, including ones that I've heard personally, calling it the goriest comic book film ever, hard R. I've heard maybe not as funny as it thinks it is, but whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, one of the biggest box office franchises of all time is actually a little franchise called the Despicable Me world, or as some people call it, the Minions universe. Because we have the proper Despicable Me movies, which also have Minions in them, and then the Minions standalone films, which have all done very, very well at the box office. And we now have a new one coming out called Minions and Monsters. And we now have our first full reviews. Not many of them. So I don't know what's going on with the review embargo, because just a few of them have come out, but they've come out from major outlets. And so far, every single one of them really likes it. We go over and take a look at some of the reviews that are coming out now for Millions of Monsters. Discussing Film liked it. They said, the best adventure with the Minions yet, delivering hilarious and heartfelt ode to the cinema's past that is sure to resonate with young cinephiles. Surprisingly, it feels like Illumination is only just now tapping into this franchise's true potential. Mama's Geeky liked it, saying, a love letter to Hollywood. It features industry jokes and references, which is refreshing for the franchise. Stunning animation, fast-paced action, and a genuinely entertaining story. The best of the solo Minions movies by a landslide. The Wrap liked it. They said Minions and Monsters builds to an open-hearted tribute to the power of the communal movie-going experience that is unexpectedly emotional and makes the film feel like it could be the best in the franchise, perhaps since the very first Despicable Me. Empire Magazine liked it. They said, more of the same from this franchise, really. It will keep the minion-sized people in your life happy and probably make $1 bazillion. Bananas all around. Variety liked it. They said the film is such a weird, willful, popular entertainment for much of its running time that it holds your goodwill. It's almost bellissima, but it's fully, madly moviosa, and that's more than the seventh entry in any animated franchise has the right to be. South China Morning Post liked it. They said, the lean story arguably lacks the emotional weight of the Despicable Me films, but in its place is a neat streak of self-aware humor, particularly when the Minions become Hollywood stars and launch a merchandise range. And so far, I mean, that's pretty much all of them. But again, from some of the big outlets, including Variety and The Wrap, are really liking it. So here's the thing. You know, one of the things that really makes me interested in this movie is they showed us at CinemaCon a big presentation for Minions 2, and they gave us the full rundown, which I wasn't aware of, which is it's set several decades in the past, and the Minions end up in Hollywood, and they become famous filmmakers. They become famous filmmakers, and they catch the eye of a big director voiced by Christoph Waltz, two-time Academy Award winner Christoph Waltz, does the voice of this director who discovers them and believes they can be this big thing, and they become big stars in Hollywood, and they fall in love with the idea of making movies. And the idea is they want to make a monster movie, but you don't have any CG in that era, so they have to find an actual big giant monster, and mayhem, of course, ensues. And it looks absolutely charming. And here's the funny thing about Minions. Minions were instantly adorable and cute in the first Despicable Me. But if you looked at them in that film, while they were adorable and worked great in Despicable Me, I would have guessed that the novelty of these characters would have worn off pretty fast. Like, I loved them in the Despicable Me, but I would have thought, if you try to do this 2 or 3 more times, it's going to get really tired. And you know what, guys? It hasn't gotten tired. When they have good, clever content, these Minions are adorable, and they work, and they're fun, and they're funny. And you put them in this context of the golden age of movies, and they fall in love with movie making and do a little and you know what? As ridiculous as the stuff they showed us at CinemaCon was, everything had a nugget of truth to it about the behind the scenes of how they make these movies. And you're watching, it's like, I kind of fell in love with it. So look, I don't know if I'm going to love this movie or not, but I'm happy to hear that it's getting a good response so far. Anyway, Rob, you were there at CinemaCon. You saw the big presentation they did for it. You're now hearing some of these reviews coming out. Is it kind of lining up with what you were expecting? Do you think they can keep doing these Minion movies? I don't know. What do you think about it?
I have to tell you, I think you were too. When we saw I mean, they showed us a chunk. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, the whole leaning into movie making and the Minions not really knowing what it was, and then all the people in Hollywood not knowing who the Minions were. I mean, I was delighted. I had a gigantic grin on my face. I mean, did it go a bit over the top? Yes, but that's a Minions movie for you. I loved it, and I was more interested in seeing this movie than I have been. I mean, the Minions are fine, but it's not my jam. This movie, however, the setting and what was going on, they had me at hello. I'm really excited to see this movie based on what we saw at CinemaCon, and to hear that it's good. Well, that's great. Can't wait.
Jonathan, what have you thought about like the whole Minions thing so far?
I actually prefer the standalone Minions versus Despicable Me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. There's just something about it. I just enjoy those films more than the Despicable Me films. And actually, the last Despicable Me movie was like, to me, just felt so generic. My kids do prefer the Minions, I think, over a lot of other, franchises. So they're a little more like excited to see this. We were kind of excited to go see Despicable Me, and we were all just like, well, that was a movie. But this, I'm excited to see, and I am going to go see it. And I think so are they.
For me, I still think out of all, like the whole Despicable Me Minions films, I still think my overall favorite is the first Despicable Me. Like to me, that had the most heart. It was very, very funny, all that kind of stuff. But you know what? Outside of the first Despicable Me movie, I think I also prefer the Minions movies over the follow-up Despicable Me movies.
Because here's the thing, they're my favorite parts of the Despicable Me movies. So I'd rather just have them. You know?
So it's going to be interesting to see if they can carry that here. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The first reviews for Minions and Monsters are all pretty good. Some of them even calling it the best of the franchise so far. Maybe you're over the Minion shtick. I thought I would be by now, but I still kind of like them. Anyway, whatever you guys think about them, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Some time ago, some of you guys may remember that a trailer dropped very, very early for this animated film coming out called The Forgotten Island. And it caught my attention because it focuses on Filipino culture. I am married into a Filipino family. So that's a big part of my existence now is Filipino culture. Anyway, I didn't think the trailer was all that great. Just being honest. I mean, I was interested because it's Filipino culture, but it honestly didn't look all that good. Well, at CinemaCon, not only they didn't give a presentation for this movie, they actually showed us the entire movie. And it was so early that even though it was the whole movie, a lot of it wasn't finished. It was a very unique viewing experience, actually, because a bunch of the movie was fully completed animation. A bunch of it wasn't quite complete. And even in some places, it was so not complete. It was literally like the pencil art, like almost pencil storyboarding with the audio over it to fill in those gaps. But we still got the full movie experience. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be the best animated film of the year. This is going to be, and I say this as a guy who I didn't like the trailer, at least the first trailer. This is the best animated film of the year. And I say that as somebody who has seen Zootopia, who has seen the new Toy Story 5, which I really loved. Forgotten Island is the best animated film of the year. Now, there's going to be a couple of other animated films coming out this year that maybe they'll take that place, but that's how good this movie is. And after coming out of it, not only was I kind of struck by how much I loved the film, and I'll go into some of the reasons why a little bit later, but I was also struck with how depressing it was that the first trailer was so bad. Anyway, today starts the campaign to try to correct that, because a brand new trailer for The Forgotten Island has come out, and I'm happy to say it's much better than the first trailer was. Like this trailer actually communicated some of the heart of the movie, the dynamics between the characters, which I don't think we got any of in the first trailer, and a little bit more of the fun. Again, I don't think this is the best trailer in the world, but I think it's a significantly better trailer than that first one was. And by the way, this is being directed by the same two guys who directed that last Puss in Boots movie, which I think those of us around here, we loved. I think we all love that Puss in Boots movie. So anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see this new trailer for The Forgotten Island. You didn't see the full movie like I did.
I was
the
douche that didn't go to the screening.
You know what? I wasn't going to go either. I was like tired from everything else. And I think I even said in one of our live streams, yeah, they've got the screening for Forgotten Island tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to go because of where it landed. But my wife, being Filipino, was, oh no, you're going.
Right.
Make no mistake, you're going. So I was like, oh, fine. Keep the wife happy. I'm so glad I did. Anyway, Rob, you saw the new trailer. What did you think about it?
Rub it in. I love the trailer. I thought the trailer was terrific. And, the context I had was being at CinemaCon and hearing you guys rave about it. And I think they did show a trailer for it. I seem to remember that they showed a trailer for it.
Okay. I don't remember that, but you're probably right.
I think they did because I remember seeing something about it. But seeing the full trailer, I saw the full trailer in the theater. And when we saw Toy Story, and it was, I can't, the movie looks great, but hearing you guys, it wasn't just you, it was everybody there. Taylor, I think, was there too, and he saw it and raved. Everybody raved about it. They're talking about it like you just said, the best animated film of the year. So I'm really excited to see it. So count me in.
What do you think about the trailer?
I loved it. They showed it in front of Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I loved it. I thought the trailer, the premise, I think they do a really good job of selling the idea that these two friends on this island, the longer you stay on the island, the more you forget. You get to live this blissful existence, but what you lose is yourself. And that's kind of a horrifying concept, but they make it look so appealing, which is the beginning of it. That's a great Twilight Zone episode. That's a great movie itself. I can't wait.
It's almost like a blending of Vanilla Sky in some sense, or like
I
like
never would have
Inception,
thought of that comparison, but that's actually pretty good. Now, for those you don't know what the movie is, it's basically, it follows like these two main characters. Okay, so they have been best friends since childhood. And one of the things they bond over is movies. Actually, there's some amazing movie references in it, like top-notch gold movie references in it. And now that they've grown up, one's a little bit more of an achiever, the one with the glasses, and one's a little bit more of a little more rough around the edges one. And they've grown up now, and one's getting ready to move off to university, and she has to tell her best friend that she's actually going to go to America, to go to Caltech, and they're going to be separating. And that's kind of the emotional groundwork of the movie. And also their personal pasts and how they've been a support to each other is beautiful and touching and warm, and every positive phrase I can come up with. But the one's grandmother always told them these stories about this, which I'm gathering is an actual real Filipino myth and real Filipino legend of this forgotten island, and the creatures and the beings that live there and all that kind of stuff. And they kind of spent most of their lives trying to find that island and find a way to get there. And on their last night together, before the one leaves to go to America, they fall into a portal that takes them to that forgotten island, and the adventure begins. So look, I'm going to save my full review for this thing until it actually comes out. But what I can tell you is this movie has straight up golden era Pixar level heart. It is ridiculously funny. Like, I laughed so hard through a lot of it. And there was a lot of sniffling and tears welling up in a lot of people's eyes during the movie. It's got emotion. It's got heart. It's a beautiful tribute to friendship and relationships and memories. Like, it really focuses on the power of memories. And it's an absolutely beautiful film. It's an absolutely entertaining film. And it's an absolutely hilarious film. Now, again, let me kind of give a little bit of the caveat that, of course, I am married into a Filipino family. There may or may not, be a gun put to my head to say that this is a great movie. But even regardless of that, guys, take my word for it. When this movie comes out, go and see it. It is phenomenal. And I couldn't be happier with it. And you know what? I have a rule that I don't go to any press stuff. Haven't done it for years. I am going to contact the studio and I'm going to ask if I can go to the premiere with a +2 to take my wife and, more importantly, to take my mother-in-law, because I think Anne's mom would love this film. I would love to give that to her as a treat, because it's just a fabulous movie, guys. It's an absolute fabulous movie. And Jonathan, you weren't at CinemaCon. So
I was not.
But you did see this trailer. What did you think about the trailer?
I like it. I'm excited to see it. And I think it's, I did get Pixar vibes, even though it's not Pixar. And it feels like it's in touch with kind of like a culturally historic kind of story. You know what I mean? Like, I love when a story has deep roots into a culture. Yeah. You get that with Moana, obviously. But, and I mean, I know this is like a Pacific Island, I get it, but aside from that, I think it just, I don't know, it just draws a little more heart, a little more depth to the story. So I'm looking forward to it. Like, I think it's going to be fun. And I like the animation style too.
Now, again, guys, I understand that the trailer that dropped today isn't as good as the movie I'm describing. I'm very aware of that. It's a good trailer. But it's even this trailer, as good as it is, does not really represent really overall how good this movie is. Anyways, that's my thoughts on. Did you guys have a chance to see the trailer of The Forgotten Island? If so, what did you think of it? Whatever you guys thought, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Supergirl is coming. I'm actually going to go see it tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing it. The first reactions have come out. As the Hollywood Reporter says, as Supergirl soars in first reactions, Jason Momoa is born to play that, yada, yada, yada. A lot of people seem to like it. Some people not as much. I'm a little bit trepidatious about it, because while I've been excited about this film and I love the director, I wasn't thrilled. I'm well on the record that I wasn't thrilled with the CinemaCon presentation we got for it, but regardless. And one of the big questions about Supergirl is, of course, well, how much money is it going to make? How many people are going to go to see it? I know some people go, John, who cares how much money it makes? Then let me put it into a different term. The question is, how many people feel motivated to go to see it? Which is the same thing of talking about how much money it's going to make. But regardless. But here's an interesting thing. Before the first frame of opening night has hit the screen, Supergirl has already made $100 million. As how? Well, as in this report in Deadline, Supergirl has already passed $100 million plus in promo partner deals, which is the biggest ever for anything out of DC. And more than most films ever do. $100 million. Deadline goes on to write this. I mean, it may make more money from its Supergirl might make more money from Kentucky Fried Chicken than it does from movie audiences going to go see it. When Supergirl takes to the screen this Friday, she'll be the biggest Warner Brothers or DC Studios movie ever when it comes to promotional partnerships, with 80 plus sponsors who are delivering 100 million plus in media value. That's not even counting the consumer products, with names such as Ultra Beauty, Oppie, I have no idea what that is, Joico, no idea what that is, and Kentucky Fried Chicken, I am all too familiar with what that is. On board, Warner Brothers Global Partnerships' aim for the campaign is to sell the edgy aspect of the DC-verse while creating zeitgeist moments that will intrigue young women and families. Know that when it comes to partnerships, that dollar amounts is comprised of purchased advertisements, retail store space, as well as campaign, digital, and linear impressions. Of those 80, 65 are international partners, 14 are North American, and 4, counting a global reach, Samsung, Oppie, American Airlines, and Timex. Now look, we've all known for a long time that, what do we call it when you're dropping like promo within movies, like product placement? That's the phrase I'm looking for. Product placement as well as the larger scope of promo stuff, has been a part of movie marketing and movie budgeting for a very, very long time. We all remember that. Which one was it, guys? That one Transformers movie where the beer was so obviously a product, like so obscene, so over the top.
And it was like they had that like emulator where it like created things in it, and it made a Beats. It made a Beats like speaker like system.
Yes. and you remember the first season of 24, which was a great show. I love 24.
Yeah.
But the first season of 24, I even remember once playing a game of pause roulette where I'd close my eyes for 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then hit pause. And I bet myself when I open my eyes, if I see the Dell logo somewhere.
Oh, all over.
Dell was all over everything in season 1. Like, I don't mind product placement at all. 90% of the time, I don't even think we notice, but just when it becomes a little bit, pompous, that it kind of gets in your face a little bit. So I don't mind it. But again, it's an interesting thing that it's become more and more a part of the overall financial structure of movies, because at already making $100 million, I mean, that means the break-even point for Supergirl, which is hovering around Black Adam's break-even point, which is right around the $400 million mark. Now it's closer to $300 million, technically speaking. And I don't know if that's going to become something we have to start taking more and more into consideration as we go forward. Again, I think, number one, it's not only possible, I think it is expected, guys, that this movie is going to make more money from its promo deals than it will from the box office in its opening weekend. Like, I think Supergirl's going to make more than $100 million overall. Sure. Yes, but I have a feeling that it's going to make more from its promo deals than it is from its opening weekend box office. And I mean that worldwide. I think it's going to make more than its worldwide opening weekend at the box office through its merchandising deals. So, Rob, I've been wanting to ask you about this because as somebody who's not only made feature films, but you've also worked in television and stuff like that. And I'm sure it hasn't happened. Have you ever been in a situation where, product placement, not necessarily was a big deal, but where product placement was at least a part of what it was you were doing? Has that ever been
John,
a part of your
it's
work?
So funny that you ask that because yes, when I was working on Superman Returns, it came out 21 years ago, but there was a division at Warner Brothers called Global Brand Management, and they were in charge of finding deals, partnerships with big companies. And one of the things that we had to do was we had to make partnership videos trying to attract companies to throw in the towel and come in and help promote the movie. And like one of the things that I did, normally filmmakers hate doing this, but Bryan Singer really embraced it. And since I was shooting all the behind the scenes, I would have to shoot these promo videos, and I would go to him and I would say, okay, I got a call that Target is interested in promoting Superman Returns, and they have a new slogan outside of America, which is Target 100% happy. And Brian's like, okay, I got you. And we were shooting the scene in the bar where Jimmy Olsen and Brandon Routh, Clark Kent are watching the NASA thing unfold. And Brian would stop. He'd go, cut. Brandon, were you 100% happy with that take? Because I was only about 60% happy with that take. And I would shoot this all day long and collect this stuff. And I would make like a 5-minute video of all this crazy stuff Brian would do, send it back to the studio, and then they would show it to the executives at Target to see if they would come on board. And we did it for Pepsi. We did it for KFC. We did it for everybody. And the studio was like, and Brian wanted to top, he wanted every video to be bigger than the one before it. So it actually turned out to be a hilariously funny thing to do while this $200 million movie was being made. But then, Pepsi jumped on board. These companies would jump on board, and their executives couldn't believe, like they had unleashed the power of Pepsi. And I made a video where people just randomly on the set were like, unleash the power. They were like, everyone's being He-Man. And I'm filming it. Eva Marie Saint, who was in Hitchcock movies, said she played Ma Kent. She was like, unleash the power of Pepsi. I'm like, how are we doing this? And it was a huge part for the studio. It was a huge, big deal to get these companies to come on board, because when they did a Superman Returns series of Pepsi cans, they were everywhere. So you go to get a Pepsi and there was Superman Returns on the can. So it was incredibly lucrative for the studio. And this report says they have $100 million of marketing, and sometimes they're being paid to include things or to do these kind of branding deals. And it's really lucrative and really important for the studio on their bigger movies. It's a gigantic revenue stream, and it certainly helps them alleviate the costs of production. So it's a great way to go, I think.
Somebody brought up a really interesting question in the live chat. Real Raging Cajun said, the question is, should that count towards box office? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because box office, like I was saying a little bit earlier, it is the representation to us of people actually going to see the movie, right? We learn about, did a movie appeal to people to want to go and watch it? Were they motivated to go and see it? Were people willing to drop down the $15, $20, $22, whatever it's going to cost to go to see that movie? That's what box office represents. So now, is it, like Rob was saying, it's a very important part of movie financing today for sure, but should it count towards box office? Absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. No way, no how should that be counted in there. By the way, somebody was also saying a little bit earlier, I just want to put a credit there. There are so many movies I was looking forward to with the new DC, but I have some doubts at this point. Superman didn't do well. Supergirl is a bad movie as a second installment, said very professionally from somebody who hasn't seen the movie. But I want to touch on this thing that Superman didn't do well. I don't know who you're listening to, but Superman, beloved by the critics, beloved by the audience, 90+% on the audience ratings. After the DCEU completely decimated the reputation of DC and drove all the audiences away, this Superman movie came out and made more money than the previous 7 DCEU films. Let me say that again. After DCEU shit all over the reputation of DC and drove the audiences away, Superman came out and made more than the 7 previous DC EU movies. It had the job of having to rebuild the reputation of how bad DC was decimated and destroyed. So yeah, DC did pretty damn well with Superman. Superman did very well. But is Supergirl going to be any good? Some people say it's great. Some people say not so much. I'm going to see it tomorrow night and we'll have an idea from there. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Supergirl has, at least on the business ledger, has already made over $100 million from promotional deals, which is the biggest in the studio history. What do you think? I mean, how does that alter the way we look at the filmmaking process? Does it at all? Should it? I mean, I don't know. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to talk about this, shall we? We are, of course, zooming ever more quickly towards Avengers Doomsday. And, of course, at Comic-Con coming up in just a few weeks, they're going to be starting the full-blown, full-court press, big marketing campaign, and really starting to push this thing. I suspect, as most of you guys do as well, that they're going to finally drop the trailer for Avengers Doomsday and maybe a few other surprises as well. But if you guys watch our show, the other day that we were talking about what happens in Marvel between the events of Avengers Doomsday and in December of 2027 when Avengers Secret Wars comes out. Because as of right now, there is nothing officially, at least on the movie side, coming out. They did have some reserved movie dates that they removed, but that could have been for misdirection. So I started getting a lot of people, guys, over the last 24 hours were writing into me and asking me about, well, what could be coming out? What could be coming out from Marvel between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So there are some things we know for a fact are coming out. There are some things that are rumored. So I thought we would take a little bit of time here, jump into the Campea classroom, and start looking at what things are coming out, what things are rumored to be coming out, what's the likelihood of those things coming out, and go from there. So let's start things off here, shall we? The first thing that we know for fact, so I'll just put the word fact here, Daredevil Season 3. That is something that we 100% know for sure is absolutely coming out. They have already shot the season. The head of Disney Plus and all of Marvel Television and Marvel Animation has already confirmed that we're going to have a new season every single year, which means season 3 is going to come out next year. So we know for a fact that somewhere between Doomsday and Secret Wars, we're going to have Daredevil season 3. Here's the interesting thing about that. It's going to have nothing to do, Rob, with whatever is going on in Doomsday or Secret Wars. It's going to be kept pretty separate. And I don't even know if they're going to reference anything going on in Doomsday or whatever that's happening there. I think they're going to be keeping it very isolated. They did kind of suggest about a year ago that moving forward, their MCU stuff on Disney Plus was going to be still part of the same universe, but they're going to work to keep it a little bit more insulated and isolated. But it does, like, you haven't heard anything different, have you? Like, we are fully expecting that Daredevil season 3 comes out in between these two movies.
I think it will. And I mean, I think it might have some tie-in at the very end, only because if they follow the comics, the world ends. The multiverse ends. Battle World is created. Secret Wars happens. I mean, I don't understand. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't.
Well,
but
it's kind of the same thing about how all the events going on in New York during the events of Thunderbolts, and nothing is cross-referenced with the events going on in New York in Daredevil.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they're just going to kind of handle it the same way.
Yeah, it's never bothered me as a longtime comic fan that events in one comic didn't affect events in the other, because, you know, like I think about Los Angeles being such a huge place, and we had that big chemical threat a couple weeks ago that, you know, there was neighborhoods evacuated and things like that. It was a big deal, but it didn't affect us in the least. And so I've always thought of it in those kind of terms, like the events of Thunderbolts were happening, and they really happened in a very quick period of time. Like the Chitauri invasion of New York and Avengers happens pretty quick. People are like, well, where are the X-Men? I'm like, well, by the time they even heard about it, they could have been off doing something else. And by the time, you know, they heard about it, it was over.
It was an afternoon.
Yeah,
It's all in an afternoon.
That to me has always been how I've justified things. But when the world ends, well, then what?
Well, they just ignore it. They just ignore those events. I think that's what they're going to do.
You just pick up and keep moving on, Rob.
It's true. That's, you know, keep calm and carry on, as they say in Britain.
Let's move on to the next thing. Also staying on the aspect of Disney Plus, there's the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 3, because we do have season 2 coming out prior to Doomsday. This, I'm going to say, is a 75% chance that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 3 comes out. And I'm going to say it's a 75% chance because, again, the head of Marvel's television aspect, I believe his name is Winderbaum, has said that there is going to be a 3rd season of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And he had previously said that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was going to follow the same pattern as Daredevil. It will have a new season every year. So while we do not have a confirmed release date for Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 3, because we haven't even got season 2 yet, it looks likely that they will be planning for that to drop in between season 3 to drop in between Doomsday and Secret Invasion. The other thing is X-Men 97 season 3. This one I'm going to say is a 50% chance, because while they have already confirmed that we are getting an X-Men 97 season 3, I don't know where they are right now. I know work has already begun on it, but we knew they were already well into developing season 2 by the time season 1 even came out. So I'm not 100% sure that we're going to get that season 3 in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. It might come out after Secret Wars, but right now I'm going to say it's probably a 50% chance at least. So there's a good chance I think we're going to get that in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Another thing, Wonder Man season 2. They've just recently, we thought this was a one-shot. We thought Wonder Man was a one-shot. It was planned as a one-shot. It was executed as a one-shot. But what they weren't expecting was how well the show was going to be received. People loved it. It was great. It was not the show I was expecting, but it was far better than I was expecting. And so they came out and said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to do a season 2. So could season 2 come out in 1997 in 2027 between Doomsday and Secret Wars? It is possible. But remember, right now, they don't even have a finished script for that show yet. So it's absolutely possible they could get that locked down and maybe even go into production before December and maybe possibly have it ready to come out before Secret Invasion. But that seems unlikely. So I'm going to give that coming out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars a 15%. Then there's Marvel Zombies season 2. This is one that they've already confirmed they're going to do, but I really haven't heard much about the development of it at all. But it still seems like it coming out in that window between Doomsday and Secret Wars, probably pretty good. I'm going to go 60%. So I think it's more likely that we get it season 2 in that window than X-Men 97, but not totally sure. So we'll say 60%. I didn't love Marvel Zombies, by the way, but it is what it is. So there's that. Now, there have been some rumors, Rob. There have been rumors of Vision Quest season 2 coming out in 97. In between Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't see how they could possibly have Vision Quest, a season 2. First of all, even if they were going to do a season 2, I just don't see how it would be possible that they would have that ready to go prior to Secret Wars. What do you think about that? What are the chances we get Vision Quest season 2?
Let me say, I don't know anything about a Vision Quest season 2, but I think it would be very difficult to get it up and running and get it finished between Doomsday and Secret Wars. It's not impossible, but, again, if they're doing anything like, you're switching between the human versions of Ultron and I would imagine the Ultron robot, or android or entity, that's a lot of work. And doing 8 episodes, you've got to write those 8 episodes. They've got to be great. And then you have to shoot it, implement it. They shot Vision Quest, the first season in Europe. That's a lot of work. I don't know if they can get that done.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go with that. Again, I'm going to say not impossible, but extremely unlikely. Now, I have a feeling we're going to get a Vision Quest season 2 because I've heard Vision Quest is really quite great. But I kind of believe that we will get one, but I think 5% chance at most that we get that in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. All right. Then there's Hawkeye season 2. Of course, we've had Jeremy Renner recently talking about the fact that, yeah, he's totally, he talked about some contract disputes they had, but since then, everything's been hand-holding and kumbaya. He really wants to do a season 2. He's excited to do a season 2, all that kind of stuff. I just don't see that happening between now and Secret Wars. I don't see how that fits in. Plus, we haven't heard anything about them even being remotely close to doing a season 2 yet, other than the fact that they do want to do one. I just don't think the timing is there. So I don't think we're getting a Hawkeye season 2 in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Okay. Let's go on to the bigger question that a lot of people have, which is MCU movies. As of right now, as we mentioned earlier, there are no officially confirmed, announced any Marvel films coming out between Doomsday and Secret Wars, but that doesn't mean they're not planning on it. They just haven't told us about it. So what are the possibilities of what those films maybe could theoretically be? Well, I'll start with the obvious one. Doctor Strange 3. Now, obviously the ending of that first Doctor Strange, not the first Doctor Strange, but that second Doctor Strange movie, Rob, Multiverse of Madness, that ended with big inferences of, what's the word? Incursions. It was all about incursions and him disappearing through the thing. And all of a sudden Charlize Theron is there. And all of a sudden he's got a third eye and blah, blah. And we haven't touched on it since. So there have been some talk and some whispers that they have very quietly been developing a Doctor Strange 3 that would be a MCU film to come out. And by the way, they still have like almost a year and a half to do it. Even if they're not shooting the film yet, they could easily go into production within the next couple of months and have a movie ready to come out prior to December of 2027. So I don't know, Rob, what do you think about the chances of a Doctor Strange 3 coming out between Doomsday and Secret Wars?
I think 0, to be honest. I would imagine that we have to have Doctor Strange in some way play a part in Doomsday. I mean, it's really hard for me because I think that when I'm thinking about Doomsday and what it's based on, the original source material, it's kind of a cul-de-sac in terms of, I don't know how you get to the end of Doomsday and not have something new after that, unless it's a prequel, unless it or it took place simultaneously to Doomsday, because Doomsday is pretty definitive. So,
but remember, they can tell these stories out of order chronologically. Remember,
sure,
Ant-Man 2
and Captain Marvel
after Infinity War, but the majority of the movie took place before Infinity War.
Yes,
right.
Yes, but the difference, is, how can I put this? Well, you got to read the comics, but with Infinity War, the world, despite the fact Thanos snapped his fingers, you had a flashback, and then that movie ended in a way where there was a cliffhanger that allowed you to be like, oh, okay, something's going to happen. And they tied it in really well in Endgame. And then also Captain Marvel was between Infinity War and Endgame. And Captain Marvel took place in the 90s. So it can be done. I totally agree with you. It can be done. But I think that when people watch Doomsday, what happens in that movie hits a little harder. It leaves you in a place that's different than the place that Infinity War left you in. Let me just say that.
All right. So there's Doctor Strange. There's Doctor Strange. That's one potential. Another potential one that could be, that I've heard some people talking about, and you've seen the talk online too, which is the Shang-Chi 2. I just don't see, now I've seen the reports, I've heard the whispers. I don't see how this is possible, because it's already been confirmed that Destin Daniel Cretton will come back to direct Shang-Chi 2. He is currently directing Spider-Man Brand New Day, and he's going to be working on putting the final touches on that movie and then promoting that movie with no other time to do anything else until that movie comes out. So now I understand why some people have been suggesting that maybe a Shang-Chi 2 could come out in that window, because, they've been saying forever that they're absolutely doing it. It's going to come sooner than you think, all that kind of stuff. But I just don't see a possibility. I would say Doctor Strange 3, guys, as a movie that Doomsday happens, right? Then we get a Doctor Strange 3 that takes place before the events of Doomsday, but gives us a lot more information about what we saw in Doomsday and set up for what we're getting later on. I could
see that.
Yeah, I could totally see them doing something like that, giving us fresh perspective on the events of Doomsday, even though it happens before the events of Doomsday. It's like, oh, that's why that happened in that movie. So for Doctor Strange 3, the possibility, I'm going to go as high as 20%. I'm going to give it as high as a 1 out of 5 chance that happens. Shang-Chi 2, I'm not going to say 0, but I can't go any higher than 5%. I just don't see it. Guys, do either of you have any other potential Marvel projects that could theoretically come out between Doomsday and Secret Wars?
I mean, if you're talking like Rob mentioned with Captain Marvel's a flashback movie, you can go anywhere. But then again, even that was a purpose, because at the end of Infinity War, it was like she was on that pager after the snap.
Yeah.
So I mean, it still has to be someone that narratively fits. I just don't see, unless this is the greatest kept secret and they've just been leaking Doomsday things so that we don't realize there's some other movie happening, how they're doing this. And they're also going to get it like marketed and timed just right, that in a year from now we get a movie. That will be a feat unto itself.
I mean, I used to joke, John, that they were going to split Doomsday into 2 movies, or they're going to split Secret Wars into 2 movies. And they could easily, under the cover of Doomsday, because it's so big and it has so many cast members, you could easily film something else during that time if you wanted to. If the NDAs with the cast and crew and shooting in Europe, everything is sequestered away. And if that were the case, I would say that the obvious candidate, the thing that I think would most tie into Doomsday, would be Doctor Strange 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
he's dealing with incursions.
I think they could get away with having made that movie in secret, because I would imagine that he has to be a part of Doomsday. And there might even be, you might even be able to make a movie, Doctor Strange 3. I wouldn't put it past, if you made Doctor Strange 3, you could make a movie about Doctor Strange encountering Doom and dealing with him
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Pre-Doomsday, and it would explain certain things that are in Doomsday that we're going to be going, if things that pan out, going, well, how did this happen? And you could easily make that movie under the guise of shooting Doomsday.
Well, guys, look at this list. We've got so what we know for a fact is coming out between Secret Wars and Doomsday. We got Daredevil season 3. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is really most likely, because they've already announced it and they said it would come out 1 a year. That would mean, ergo, even though they haven't announced a date, that we should assume it's going to come out in that window as well. X-Men 97, I also think there's a good chance. I should change that 50% to 60, because I think it's more likely than not that it will as well. Wonder Man season 2 is possible, but I only give that 15% chance. Marvel Zombies 2, they've announced it. I don't think it's coming out this year. So next year in between Doomsday and Secret Wars does seem more plausible. Despite the rumors of a Vision Quest season 2, I just don't see how they would have that done between now and then. And probably 0% chance on Hawkeye season 2. On the movie front, I think Doctor Strange has a shot. I think there's a chance, a possibility, if you will, that we will get a Doctor Strange 3 secretly made and put out in that window there. Not likely, only 20% chance, but I'll give it at least 20%. And the other whispers that we had about a Shang-Chi 2, I'm not going to say it's completely impossible, but it seems unlikely. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We know what is absolutely coming out in that window, but we talked about some of the possibilities of the other ones as well. What other DC or MCU projects do you think could have a chance of actually very quietly being put out between the events of Doomsday and Secret Wars? Whatever you guys think those are, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, we are now going to move on and take your live comments and questions. If you guys have any comments or questions you'd like us to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature and fire it on in. The super chats are currently still open, but I will be turning them off shortly. So if you still want to fire one in, go ahead and do that now. I also going to bid good day to our friends Robert Meyer Burnett and Jonathan Voico. Good having you guys on. We'll see you both tomorrow.
See you guys later.
Yes, you will.
All right, thanks, guys. And now it is time for us to pay the bills around here and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Hims. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Hims. You know, one of the hardest things about trying to lose weight is just figuring out what actually works. Because we've seen them all. There are a million trends, diets, and gimmicks out there, and honestly, it can get overwhelming. And that's why weight loss by Hims really stands out. Hims now offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications, including the Wegovy pill at its lowest price ever, and the Wegovy pen. With Wegovy at Hims, lose up to 20% or more of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. It helps you regulate your appetite and eat less, so success is within reach. Plus, Wegovy is the first ever and only GLP-1 available in a pill for weight loss, so there are no needles needed. And the process is extremely convenient. Everything happens online. You connect with a licensed provider who determines if treatment is right for you, and if prescribed, your medication gets delivered right to your door. No insurance necessary. Ready to reach your goals? Visit hims.com/Campea to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's HIMS.com/Campea. hims.com/Campea. Based on advertised cash price for 30-day supply of medication only. Membership required, fee not included, and billed separately. Weight loss by Hims is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk AS. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit hims.com. And thank you to our friends at Hims for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With all that down, let's move on and start taking your questions that you guys have been firing in using our super chat feature during the live show. So let's get things started. And I think we're going to start off here with JT, who wrote in, Avengers Secret Wars Part 1 and Part 2 announced at San Diego Comic-Con. Also, I think that leaked footage from Doomsday was meant for San Diego as well. I don't think so because... okay, so let's start with the leaked footage. I don't think it was meant for San Diego Comic-Con, mostly because I don't think it was finished. Like when I looked at it, it doesn't look finished to me. Like I'm still not 100% sure that the footage itself was real. I mean, I know it's from the movie, but I don't know if it was that's the legitimate stuff they shot for it or if that's some kind of AI created thing to go along with what they knew was in the movie. Regardless, I don't think they're going to show that there. Could be wrong about that, but I don't think that's going to be shown there. I also don't think they're going to split Secret Wars into two films. The main reason for that is if you know the story of Secret Wars, I don't really think it requires two films. I think you can safely tell that story in 2.5 hours. So I don't think they're going to announce it being split into two films. I really don't. And if they don't have any movies between Doomsday and Secret Wars because they want to keep that slate clean just for that story, are you really going to go another year without any other MCU movies coming out between that and 2028? So again, I don't know for a fact, and you might be right, but my guess is that they are not going to announce splitting Secret Wars into two films. That's my guess at any rate. Anyway, good thoughts though, JT. All right. Gopala writes, would you rather have Shang-Chi 2 or a Kim's Convenience final season with the whole cast back? That is an excellent question. Shang-Chi season 2. You know why? Because I'm not waiting for Kim's Convenience. For those of you who've not watched Kim's Convenience, it is a phenomenally funny comedy show that actually was where Shang-Chi, our lead actor from Shang-Chi, came from Kim's Convenience. Also, the main character in Kim's Convenience is Appa. He is the New Republic fighter pilot that we see in Mandalorian and we see in Mandalorian and Grogu. So it is an absolutely hilarious, funny, outrageously great show that the showrunners cut a little bit short, and it never got its proper final season. And I would like to have that, but I'm okay with it. Like I got closure on the show. That's fine. But we have been dying to see Shang-Chi 2. So I would say definitely I would take Shang-Chi 2. That's what I would want. All right. Next up, we've got Spinachsaurus, who sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude. Who writes, Hey, John, do you think the Russos may have added the Jack Kirby crack? You probably mean the Kirby crackle. Visual effect from the use of Doom's powers. If not, what do you think about the idea? If it was finally added to the MCU, I think it would be cool. I don't really care. Make the best visual effect. I don't think you... Okay, so I would say I don't think you compromise your visual effects and you don't compromise your visual aesthetic of the movie just to fit in some wild, like big glowing with black dots, cosmic power visual that they use very effectively in the comics. But I don't know if you go out of your way to put that in there. And the reality is 99% of the people wouldn't identify with what that is going up on screen anyway. So look, if they think it fits in with the visual look of the effects they're going for, absolutely, all for it. Why not? But on the other hand, again, I don't think even if they do it, 99% of the people watching the movie are going to have no idea what it is they're looking at or what the reference is to the comic book pages. So, hey, look, if you can find a way to do it and it works and it fits in, great. But I don't think they should go out of their way to kind of force it in. Anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. Good question, though, man. Thanks for putting that out there. All right. And thank you again also for supporting us on that level, man. That's very generous of you, dude. All right. Next up. Rich Reviews writes, maybe the Ellisons can bribe the new UK Prime Minister. This will be the 7th Prime Minister in 10 years into getting the deal through. Well, the problem is, by the way, it's going to be the 6th Prime Minister in 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, the UK Prime Minister just resigned. The biggest problem that Paramount is going to have getting this Warner Brothers deal through is not necessarily the UK or the EU, although those are problems and those are obstacles they're going to have to overcome. The biggest one is going to be the state attorney generals who look like they're banding together to launch a lawsuit to stop it. That looks like it's going to be the big one they've got to take care of. I mean, yes, the ones in Europe can also potentially be a problem, but I think their biggest problem is going to be the lawsuit they're going to face from the state attorneys general. But again, I still think the deal is going to go through overall, but it does have some hurdles to overcome. All right. Next up, Raymond Vrada writes, Apple Cinemas here in San Francisco only has 6 minutes of previews. It's not as crowded as the AMC's, and the regular size of popcorn is a bucket. I've heard good things about Apple Cinemas. I've heard good things. I think we actually talked about them recently. Didn't Apple, like the company Apple, try to sue them to change their name from Apple Cinemas to something else? I think they did. Anyway, 6 minutes of trailers, then the movie. Perfect. I still think it should be a law. A law. The government makes lots of laws for consumer protection. The most valuable resource we have is not money. The most valuable resource we have is time. I think I have said this forever, and I still think it. A law should be passed that movie theaters actually advertise what time the damn movie starts. You paid for those tickets. This isn't some freebie that the theaters are giving out. This isn't something that, oh, you get this for free if you watch a few ads. No, you guys are paying real money to go to the movie theater. It should be required by law that studios advertise what time the thing you paid for starts. You can say, I don't care if you want to say presentation starts at 7, movie starts at 7:25. Presentation starts at 1 p.m. Movie starts at 1:30. You can put both those numbers in there if you want, but I think it should absolutely be a law that if you're paying $20 to go see a movie, they should be fucking damn well responsible to tell you what time that movie that you paid for is starting, and put an end to this bullshit of these movie theaters stealing a half hour of your time. stealing a half hour of your time when you fucking paid to be there. It's bullshit. It's got to change. I love the movie theaters desperately. They are my church. I love movie theaters passionately. Any of you guys work at movie theaters out there? I love you guys. But that doesn't mean I love everything that you do. This whole thing about the way you steal people's time they paid for, has got to stop. 6 minutes is way better than a half hour. Anyway, just advertise what time the movie starts. That's all you got to do. All right. Corey, right, sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that, man. Writes, hey, John, it was great seeing you in Columbus. We just recently did a movie meetup in Columbus, Ohio. Had a great time at it. I gave you that bottle of bourbon for Anne. Did she try it, and what did she think? I heard you mention a weekly D&D game. Yep, we're actually playing tonight. We normally play on Sundays, but our DM was busy on Sunday, so we're actually playing our weekly D&D session tonight. I've been DMing for 10 years, and I think the format is art. It's absolutely art. Now, no, Anne hasn't tried the bourbon yet. She knows we have it. I've got it set aside. She's excited about trying it. We might even break it out tonight now that you mention it, but she has not tried it yet. Yeah, that movie meetup was great. I think the next movie meetup is probably going to be Atlanta. That's probably the next one, is probably Atlanta. Don't hold me to that. But we definitely have to do Atlanta. And that's one of the major cities we haven't done yet. So probably going to be looking at scheduling that in the next month or two, but we'll see. All right. Thank you, Corey, by the way. And I will let you know how the bourbon goes. I won't be drinking it myself because I don't drink alcohol generally. But I'm sure Anne's really going to like it. And thank you so much for that. All right. Let's see. Next up, we've got Alfonso Urabi, who writes, hey, John, love what you do, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the great content. Do you think we will see Samuel L. Jackson return as Nick Fury? And will we see David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury in Secret Wars? Nah, we're not going to see David Hasselhoff. One of the main reasons we're not going to see David Hasselhoff is because less than 1% of the people out there actually know David Hasselhoff ever played a version of Nick Fury. Nobody knows that. So that's not like the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire situation where everybody knew them as Spider-Man. If you suddenly try to slip in David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury in Secret Wars, everybody's going to be sitting in that theater going, why is David Hasselhoff here? Like it's not the same situation again as Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, where again, everybody knows them as Spider-Man. Nobody knows David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. So no, I think that's an absolute 0% chance of that happening. All right. Oh, and as far as Samuel Jackson, yeah, my guess is we will. I think we'll see. I don't know that for a fact, but my guess is they will. All right. Jacob the Galbo also sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, guys. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much. And he writes, is it safe to say that Stark army of Greybeards, the Winter Wolves, is an army of John Campeas from Canada? Obviously a reference to, House of the Dragon, season 3, episode 1. My God, how good was that? That was so good. So good. And seeing from, you guys know one of my all-time favorite shows is Sons of Anarchy. Seeing Chibs from Sons of Anarchy leading them coming out. Like it was so fun to see and so cool to see. And yeah, it does look like a big old army of Canadians. You just had to have hockey sticks in their hands there. Anyway, thank you, Jacob, for sending in that super chat. Thank you for supporting us on that level, man. This is incredibly generous of you. Appreciate it, man. All right, next up. Mojo Media writes, if Mel Gibson hadn't reached his turmoil in Hollywood, do you believe he could have been the best actor Oscar? Do you think he could have a best actor Oscar on his mantle? Look, if you're going to separate the art from the artist, Mel Gibson has always been a fabulous actor. He's an even better director, 100%, and even better. Like he's an Oscar-winning director. He's truly one of the finest out there. But if you take away all the controversy from Mel Gibson, do I think he could have had a best actor Oscar? No. I could have seen some nominations. And again, I think he's a great actor, but there are a lot of people, or there's a decent amount of actors out there that I think are truly great actors that I don't necessarily think are going to win an Oscar. And while Mel Gibson is absolutely, undeniably a wonderful actor, do I see him as having won a Oscar? No, I don't see him. Even if nothing bad had ever happened and there was no controversy that he brought on himself, I don't think I could see him winning an Oscar, even though I think he's great. I really do, as an actor. All right. Next up, Cassidy writes, do you think they will exclude My Goddess Storm from the first X-Men movie? I pray they don't. I don't think it's important whether they do or don't, to be honest with you. Look, they clearly have plans for Storm. All right. Like, Storm is just too key, too important, too central of a character. But that doesn't mean that the best way to utilize her is necessarily to put her in the first film. You totally can. 100% they could. But do they need to? I don't think the answer to that is yes. I don't think the answer is yes. They will definitely utilize Storm in the MCU at some point, but they'll do it the way they think will best serve the character and best serve the overall story. And that doesn't necessarily mean putting her in the first movie. Look, Joker wasn't in Christopher Nolan's first Batman movie. No one's going to deny how important and big and vital Joker is to the entire mythos of Batman, but he didn't have to be in the first one. So I could absolutely see them putting Storm in there. They could absolutely do it, but do they need to? No. I don't think there's, other than Charles Xavier, I don't think there's any character that needs to be in the first one. So, I mean, there's some that would be better ideas to have in the first one, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what their plans are, but make no mistake about it. At some point we're getting Storm. At some point Storm will be there. I just don't know if it'll be the first one or not. All right. Next up, Suthius writes, hey gents, I recently rewatched How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. Fabulous movies. And may I remind you gents that the lowest Rotten Tomato score is an 87 for the audience. Yeah, I talk about How to Train Your Dragon, the trilogy, all the time. They are, I mean, if it wasn't for Toy Story, I think we'd be talking about the best animated trilogy ever. But Toy Stories 1, 2, and 3 do exceed How to Train Your Dragons 1, 2, and 3. But make no mistake, How to Train Your Dragon is wonderful. I love the live action version too. By the way, directed by the same guy. The live action version of How to Train Your Dragon was directed by the animated version director as well. I thought that live action version was fantastic. I had a great time with it. I loved it. I can't wait for the second one. But yes, the original animated trilogy, chef's kiss. It's absolutely incredible. All right. Next up, we got Jai CSC who writes, greater body of work, Pixar Studios or Spielberg? Easy, Spielberg. Yeah. You're talking about literally a collection of movies that are in the debate for the greatest movies of all time in their genres and even overall. There's just nothing compares to Spielberg. Nothing. No studio, no individual. Spielberg is the goat of goats. Pixar's body of work is insanely great, but it doesn't come close to Spielberg's body of work. Spielberg has, like, Pixar could be around for the next 30 years and it'll never have as many films nominated for Best Picture as Steven Spielberg films have. He just, every time he makes a movie, it's great. Now, I say that as somebody who is not the biggest fan of Disclosure Day. I'm not the biggest fan of Disclosure Day, but it's been a long effing time since I've said that about any Steven Spielberg movie. He's as goat as goat gets. It's just that simple. All right. No, there's still more after this one. Animesh writes, I finished watching For All Mankind and Eddie Gathegi keeps impressing me. Recently also watched The Blacklist and Gathegi was the most charming there, only second to Spader's Reddington. He was great in The Blacklist. Now, I have not seen Gathegi in For All Mankind because I've only ever watched season 1. I don't know why I've only ever watched season 1 because I really liked For All Mankind season 1. I thought it was really good, but I just never got around to watching the rest of it since. So I haven't seen him. He doesn't come around till later in the show. I haven't seen him in it, but my goodness, I've always thought this guy was great. Everything I've seen him in, I thought he was great. He was particularly great in Superman, yes, but yeah, he was also really good in The Blacklist. I love that show. It kind of fell apart near the end. The Blacklist kind of fell apart a little bit near the end, but I don't care. Overall, I thought that was a great show. And yeah, for the bits that he was in it, he was really good in there. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? We're at Animesh Shankar, who writes, talking about Spader, I will have absolutely no complaints if Vision Quest turns out to be 8 episodes of Paul Bettany and James Spader's monologue off. Dude, I'm 100% with you. Now, we know it's going to be more than just that. But if Vision Quest was just all nothing, but James Spader and Paul Bettany sitting down as Ultron and Vision and having philosophical discussions for 7 hours over the coast of the series, yeah, I would be all in still. Just them talking, I'd be 100% all in. By the way, I'm going to take a quick second. I just saw this pop up and I thought I should address this quick because there's clearly a misunderstanding here. Brock in the live chat is asking, can anyone in here give me one good reason why Disney would ever let Sony introduce Jean Grey for them to the MCU? Like, why let Sony make money off her introduction? Why not save it for X-Men standalone? Sony did not make Spider-Man Brand New Day. Marvel made it. Sony is the distributor of it, and they're going to split the revenue. So Marvel is making money off of it. But Sony did not make Spider-Man Brand New Day. Kevin Feige and Marvel and the MCU made that movie. In partnership with Sony, yes, but it was Kevin Feige and his team, Destin Daniel Cretton, the director, Marvel. It is a 100% Marvel-produced movie that is a part of Marvel's Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you guys saw my editorial that I put up, maybe about a month or two ago about the Spider-Man rights and Marvel and how they split money with the Spider-Man movies, you know Marvel is going to make a lot of money. Disney and Marvel are going to make a lot of money on Spider-Man Brand New Day. So is Sony because they get to distribute the character. But why would they put her in there? Well, it's Marvel's choice to put her in there because it's their character and they think it'll be good for their overall cinematic universe. That's why they'd be doing it. Anyway, again, it just looked like your question had a basic misunderstanding that you seem to think that Sony made those movies. They did not. Marvel made them, and they have a big revenue share in it, so they're going to make a lot of money out of it, and it's in their cinematic universe, so they have wider plans for it as well. Anyway, hope that clarified that. All right. Next up, we've got Schickster, who writes, what did you think of Dungeon Crawler Carl? Still haven't listened to it. I got into playing a lot of my PlayStation Portable when I was in the van on the thing, so I never got around to listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl. However, now there's a TV series coming. Seth MacFarlane is doing a television series based on Dungeon Crawler Carl, so I'll have a chance to check it out then. All right, Suthius writes, speaking of the Despicable Me and Minions franchise, the lowest box office is just below 600 million. The next highest box office is over 900 million. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the Despicable Me. I guess I can take off my headphones now. The Despicable Me / Minions franchise is one of the most profitable money-making franchises in the history, not only of animation, but of cinema. These things just print money. They make so much money. It's obscene. So yeah, that is a good reminder for everybody. These things make an awful lot of cash. All right. E. Groomy writes, someone made on YouTube a recreation of the CinemaCon Doomsday trailer with Lego figurines. Really? Have you seen it? And can you confirm its accuracy? I have not seen it. So I don't know exactly what we're talking about. I have not seen it, but I'm going to go look for it though. After we're done here, I'm definitely going to go look. I would love to see that. That's a cool idea. All right. Next up, Al writes, what are some of the worst movie scenes with product placement? Mine are the Bud Light scenes in Transformers 4 and Capri Sun and Lilo and Stitch remake. I mean, we already talked about the Transformers one. Like, that is one of the worst. But, and again, I mentioned the 24 season 1. 24 season 1. It was Dell everywhere. Dell. Everywhere, every time they were in anywhere, the Dell logo was right in your face. But for the most part, I think studios have gotten very good with their product placement to not make them feel overtly obvious. And so I don't really have many other thoughts or examples about the worst ones ever, but yeah, man, that Transformers one was one of the worst, maybe the worst one I've ever seen. Maybe the worst one ever. All right. Last one, because I turned off the super chats a while ago. Silent Ghost said, Christian said the villain is forgettable and the critics he saw it with didn't like it. He liked it a bit more and said Millie is made for the role. Yeah, we talked about that before. Like, again, the vast majority of the reactions coming out of Supergirl are positive. We looked at the Hollywood Reporter, like even they ran the big headline about how great the reactions have been. But even a lot of the people who liked it, even a lot of the positive reactions, we're saying that the villain's pretty forgettable. Now, that's unfortunate, but that's not necessarily a big red flag for me, because if you look at the first 3 phases of the MCU, yeah, you had Loki and yeah, you had Killmonger, but a lot of the great MCU films had fairly forgettable villains. Like, that didn't really stand out as a big highlight of the movie, right? So would I rather hear that Supergirl had great villains? Absolutely. But is it a big red flag for me if it doesn't have great villains? No, because the movie's called Supergirl. Just like I love Ant-Man, but Yellow Jacket was a totally forgettable throwaway villain. But it doesn't matter because the movie wasn't called Ant-Man v Yellow Jacket. The movie's called Ant-Man. That's the important thing. And again, a good chunk of the entire first 3 phases of the MCU were mostly forgettable villains. Some exceptions, some big exceptions, but mostly forgettable. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, I am excited to see Supergirl tomorrow night, but I have tempered my excitement a bit since CinemaCon. Because like I said, the CinemaCon presentation wasn't terrible, but it didn't overly thrill me either. So we'll see. You know, I'm going to go see the movie tomorrow night, and then I'll do my out of theater reaction, and we'll see what I thought about it. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the super chats, because number 1, you gave us great fun things to talk about, but number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hope to see you guys back tomorrow. By the way, 2 big announcements for you guys who still stuck around. Announcement number 1. Tomorrow, we're having a special guest on our show. One of my favorite tech YouTubers who's also a major movie fanatic, Brian Tong, is going to be joining us here on the show tomorrow, which I'm excited about. And on Thursday, a guy that you might be familiar with. I've had him on once before as well, but Chris from 3C Films is going to be our guest here on Thursday's episode of the John Campea Show. So we'll look forward to both of those. Hope you see you guys tomorrow and Thursday and Friday and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you guys come back. We'll look forward to seeing you then. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name's John Campea. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.